Hey guys, I'm Taylor.
And I'm Erica.
And we're your hosts for Finding the Family. Finding the Family is a podcast that we created that talks about discipleship at home. We brought in ministry leaders and professionals to bring different conversations to light about how hard it is and how simple it is to make disciples at home and how we can find your family identity in Christ. This week is a very special episode. It's our Easter episode when we're joined with Bree and Riley Sullivans, some very close friends of ours, and they're going to talk about it being a blended family. But you're going to want to make sure you stay tuned to the very end because we've done something a little unique and different that we think you'll all enjoy. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us this week on Finding the Family. We're here with the Sullivan family. We have Riley and Bree. Guys, thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks for having us.
This is like our Easter special, and
Yes.
I'm really excited about the uniqueness of this episode. So what we've done is we had the Sullivans interview their three kids, Jackson, Bailey, and Thomas. They asked them each a question. So Eric and I are going to read the questions and their potential responses. We're going to give you multiple choices. We want you as viewers to see what you think the kids said, and at the end, we'll show the videos that they took. But
Yes.
We'll start with Jackson first. So we asked Bree and Riley to ask Jackson this question. Why are you thankful Jesus died and rose for us? Was Jackson's response A, because the Romans were very, very mad at him? Was it B, so we can go to heaven? Or was it C, so we can all enjoy our farm animals together?
All good. Okay. And then for Miss Bailey, they asked her, how do we celebrate Easter? So A, by tackling the Easter bunny. B, we take the eggs from our real chickens and we do a scavenger hunt. Or C, we go to church and we eat candy.
And then the last one's Tommy B, who would quickly correct us to say it is not Tommy B. So we asked Tommy, do you know about the Easter bunny? What does he have to do with Easter? Was his response A, my mommy said we don't celebrate a bunny? B, when I was sitting by him, I was scared, and he's in Easter because he celebrates God's birthday? Or was it C, I know him, Daddy dresses up as him and hides all our eggs on Sundays? So we want you guys, what do you think your responses were? If you know,
no cheating.
If you know the kids, you probably know the answer. But at the end, we'll show the clips of them. So stay tuned for that. But Bree and Riley, again, thanks for being here. We kind of went in to talk about, Jackson, Bailey, and Thomas. But I want to hear from you guys. They are your children now, and you guys went through a crazy process to be where you're at now. So tell us a little bit about your journey and where you're at now with having these three beautiful children in your life.
Yeah, so all three are adopted now, adjusting well to what life looks like with that. So when Riley and I, even when we were just dating, probably still in high school, we knew at some point we wanted to foster or adopt, but we also wanted biological kids as well. So flash forward, we're married, so young, married, and COVID hits and the world is like turned upside down.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, I don't know. Do we really want to have any kids? We just, the world was crazy at that time.
Yeah.
And then fast forward 6-ish months, and I was working a job where I saw it became evident to me of the Indiana adoption program. Mm-hmm. And basically a catalog of kids who need homes. And so we were reading up on just all of the kids, and there's just a brief summary on each child or sibling group. And we found a group that we were like, oh my gosh, they would fit in so well to our life. And of course, those summaries don't include everything to know. So we later found out those two precious boys were far out of what we could parent successfully, as, literally not even parents yet. So God really took the wheel and led us to our kids, and I
Yeah.
truly believe that they were meant to be ours.
Yeah.
I mean, for all of eternity, that it's God meant for them to be our
Yeah.
kids. And it never should have happened realistically the way
Yeah.
that it all unfolded, and it did. And
Yeah, I'll never
now we're
forget the
here.
first Sunday you guys came. So you guys came to church and we were talking, and I don't remember if you had the kids at the time or not, but you guys came to church then one Sunday and you had Thomas and Bailey with you, and you guys were just babysitting them. And you were like, yeah, we think we want to foster. So we're watching them for the weekend, kind of going through that process. And to look at you now, like now those are your children.
Yeah.
So Riley, talk a little bit about like as a dad adjusting to, you went from babysitting some kids, praying through this process of like what it's like to be a foster parent to adopt kids to what it's like now. Tell us a little bit about that.
It was a big transition. I was wanting to be a parent at the same time. It's scary.
Oh yeah.
Especially
Was it scary
jumping in.
because you know what it's like now?
It was scary then too.
Yeah.
Going into it, like going from 0 kids to 2 kids, and then shortly after that, 1 kid, and then adding another one, having 3 total.
Yeah.
Big adjustment in learning like what works and what doesn't work, and what battles to fight and what just to let go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what I think, like, one of the reasons, like, we wanted you guys here today is because, like, you went into foster, the stance to be fostered and then you adopted. It wasn't like this perfect dream of, oh, we'll conceive, we'll have children, we'll raise them from an infant stage all the way up, and they'll be molded into our kids. It's like, now you have, Jackson is 6, and Bailey is...
6 now too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
she just had her birthday.
Yep.
Silly me. And then Tommy is now
4.
He's 4 because in December was his birthday.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So you have 6, a 6, and a 4-year-old. And you've only had them for how long now? Like
almost 2 years.
almost 2 years now. So you didn't have infants. You had babies who had some pretty crazy experiences in life. And now you're in a home together. So it was husband, it's wife, and it's 3 children, with, I know Tommy and Bailey had one upbringing that was somewhat similar, but like same time, like they're 3 kids. Now they're in one home. So as a man, is it a struggle for you to try to find that balance? Is there something that's working, not working, or?
I think every day is a challenge.
Yeah.
You go into it not knowing what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
I know for the longest time, I am the stricter of the parent.
Yeah.
And
Same.
the
Same.
It's a dad thing.
Yeah.
when I would go to work, Bailey would get up, look out the window, and just to see if my van was in the driveway,
Oh.
and that would determine what she'd do for the day.
Oh.
And so
I buy that from
Ooh,
Bailey. Yeah.
yeah.
And so
Dad's not here.
And so that just, when I'm gone,
Yeah.
changes. And then when I come home, the dynamic changes again because
Yeah.
I know, like, okay, like, I got to straighten up
Dad's
because
home.
that's home. And really, it's every day it's different. One thing will work, and then the next day it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out, what do I need to do to handle the situation?
Yeah. And that's like,
That's
I think the understanding of parenting is that you don't have it all together.
No.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
We're all trying to figure it out. And
Yeah.
it's like the most complex puzzle you've ever put together. It would be beautiful if you could put it together. We're all just trying to figure out where this piece goes. And I thought it was an edge piece, but maybe it goes right in the center.
Right.
I don't know today. We're going to try that one. But like the dynamic of a spiritual leader at home is to say, like, biblically, we talk about this, or we talk about discipleship. It's like, yeah, Dad, you got to have it together. You got to have your home in order. It's like, well, sure, but what's the reality? Like, and you blend a family. I don't think people understand that, because not only do you guys have a blended family, and now you have 3 children of your own, but you guys do so many other things. Like you're farmers. You have a job. You're involved in other organizations and ministries. Like, you're involved in other ministries. It's not just like there's one side to discipling at home, and that's parenthood, and that's how simple it is. It's like, no, you have a life,
Right.
It's hectic.
Lots of hats.
And there's
to
kids
wear,
that
a
are
lot of
very
things to
smart,
balance.
very smart at home, and they know exactly what they need to do to get what they want.
Yeah.
And so, Bree, for you, is it something like, what was it like when he was gone and Bailey's like looking out the window, like, all right, it's time.
my
What's that
gosh.
like for you?
Day in the life, like.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we've kind of changed that dynamic up a little bit. So Riley's gotten a little bit less strict and I've gotten a little bit more strict. So it's a little bit like more of an even playing field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, those early days were rough. And like we didn't realize it going into it. And even in the moment that, oh my gosh, we went from 0 to 3 in a month.
Oh, yeah.
And looking
Yeah.
back now, it's like, man, we should have had a little bit more grace with ourselves.
Well,
sure.
and like, again, not 0 to 3 at a newborn phase. Like 0 to 3 is in, like, well, now they're
Right.
6 and 4, but like,
Well, that's my question. So, did they? I guess it's hard to say respect you when kids are at such a young age, but did they view you as a parental role when you first took them in, or did that take time to establish that dynamic?
I think it took a little bit of time with Bailey and Thomas, Bailey especially. We had a nice long honeymoon stage
Yeah.
where she still called us mommy and daddy pretty much immediately before they were even in our home full time.
Okay.
But I don't think at that point she viewed us that way, and that's why things were so smooth. And then once she started to view us that way,
Right.
it was like, I'm going to test these boundaries.
she is a strong woman in the making.
She
I love
is.
it.
Her leadership skills
Yes.
are uncanny, but
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. The
Just-
leadership skills. She is.
surviving it and, making sure they go for good instead of evil.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you take these kids, like, she's smart. Jackson, very intellectually, very smart. Tommy, like, he's like our stunt crew, like, could probably run through a wall if you said to do it and would have no problem being like, oh, all right, let's do it. It's game time. But, like, you're not, the dynamic is that you guys had never had children to raise, and you're taking the 3 very unique people, and you're like, let's find a balance. And you hear all the horror stories of fostering. Like, we've helped a foster family before. I think they had, like, what did he say, 300 and something kids that have been through their home in the years they've
Yeah,
fostered.
something crazy.
And I'm like, geez. Like, and for them, 911 calls, visits to the house that were just normal. And I'm like, I thought that was like traumatic. And they're like, no, it's just what it comes with, the territory. Like, you're trying to raise these kids, but you're also trying to learn them in the beginning and show them love and grace and like consistency even. And was that something that you think they had missed out on for so long, or had they kind of seen it growing up in the system, the foster system, to where they finally landed with you, but still obviously uncertain to whether adoption would happen or not? Or
Yeah, so most of Thomas's life, he was with Nicole, who is an amazing woman. We're still very good friends, still in their lives, just kind of like an aunt at this point. Really wonderful. So they definitely got a lot of love there, a lot of structure. And having that support, transitioning them to our home with Nicole was really helpful. Jackson's previous foster mom was really wonderful as well. The whole family was. But they knew, and how much they understand, I don't know. But they knew that wasn't their forever home.
Yeah.
Jackson definitely knew.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a
Jackson-
conversation that wasn't his forever home. He knew they were looking for an adoptive home for him. And so I think that permanency piece really makes a difference. And we saw it with Jackson. People who knew Jackson before he came into our home and then after, they were just floored. They're like, this kid's done a 180.
oh, wow.
And then even he did it again after he was adopted. Well, shortly after we started homeschooling was when we really noticed it with him. And it's just like he's got these layers. So when he came and he knew that we were his forever home, that one layer came off and he was just,
Slowly
a whole
starting
new
to,
kid.
yeah.
Well, that's what this is all
Yeah.
about. Like, so the whole podcast, like, everything we wanted to say is like, you have to find your identity in Christ. Well, part of helping them find their identity in Christ is they have to find their own identity first. And here are young children who are like, I know this isn't my home. And we haven't even gone through that. we have never had that feeling. And they're young
Yeah.
kids who are processing those emotions. And then you guys are still like on that other end of like, we want this to be their forever home. We just don't know yet. And so there's a lot of play on emotions there, but you're helping them create their identity. And with permanency, like you said, like I can't imagine how simple it sounds like, oh, you adopted these children now. But like to put the
What goes
reality
into it.
yeah, put reality here in the middle of it all and be like, you imagine what those kids felt when they were like, Mom and Dad, this is your home now. Like, I can't imagine that feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm an adult. And so that's why I think, Riley, we've talked a lot about that. Like as a dad, like those are emotions that I've never had to raise my kids with. I've never had to deal with the battles, some of the struggles that you guys have already gone through in your quick time with the kids. But like as a dad, you're trying to lead the home, but you've got kids who are waiting for a home forever. And now you're making your family identity now. So has that been something that like you've been like really adamant about or praying for beforehand and you're seeing it kind of play out now?
Yeah. Going into it, the behaviors were off the wall at times. And it was very stressful. In the beginning, it definitely wasn't, like we went to church and, trying to get them involved into the kids ministry, and either one of them, like none of them went to church, to my knowledge, before our home. And so trying to get through that phase when they first came to us to them actually starting to want to learn more, and me figuring out what I could do at home.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned a great point. Eric and I talk about this a lot. You got your kids involved around other people, like other kids. And one of the big things we were talking about, especially with your guys' episode, was that like there's this bigger community piece that we kind of downplay. Like, I'll never forget finding you guys in the cafe. We talked and you were like, oh, you were talking about Hands of Hope and you were talking about small groups. And we were like, we'll just come into our small group. I'll never forget when we were able to watch the kids, for a little bit, while you were going through those processes and helping you guys as a care community. And we've turned into like more than a care community. Through community, we've turned into family. Like we love your kids like they're our own kids. And it's crazy to think about, like, it was just being involved and being with you guys that we've grown to know you guys.
Yeah.
But then you mentioned like bringing your kids into this. Like they need community just as much as you guys did. And I think that's what we forget in the parenting world or in just like a discipleship world is like the person discipling needs to have community to make sure he's, sharing and equipping people. But those other disciples need community with one another just as much as you do, right? Like our kids need to be around other kids to socialize, to talk, and especially on Sunday, to learn about Jesus. Like you said, you don't even know if they'd ever heard about Jesus before, potentially, right? Mm-hmm. And you now are modeling, this is what our family is going to do. And you set the tone for an identity and say, what Mom and Dad value is this. And now to watch our kids hang out, when I was showing them those videos we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I was showing our kids that. Ren was like, she had to go through everyone. I want to see Jackson. I want to see Bailey. I want to see Tommy. And look, and Tommy and Ren in school together too. Yeah. Like, it's just crazy how they find their own little community and they love hanging out with each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So have you guys found that community has been a huge part of this journey, that having people on, to help you when you need it, that's been like a big piece and helpful?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We could not have done it with you guys, our small group, the littles, just the whole Life Church community. Like there's just so many people. I feel like, and I've said this to Tammy before, we walk in and it doesn't matter when it is, whether it's a Sunday or a night like this. The Cheers theme song, how they're like, sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. And that's like,
I'm sure the best feeling.
Yes.
Just to have people who know you and
it's not
who have
fake.
been along. No.
It's like it's like I enjoy seeing their faces. You know,
Yeah.
Bailey and I sing is Bailey, Bailey, Bailey. And it's Taylor, Taylor, Taylor. She always
Yeah.
like, that's our thing, giving every one of them, making sure they get a hug. Like, and I don't want to take, like, I don't want Erica and I up on a soapbox for our small group, but the emphasis, like,
Yeah.
like people need people. God designed us to be a church for a reason.
Relationship,
Like the church it's a partnership of the home, like where people can gather, where the lost can hear like about Jesus. And we just downplay community so much. And I just remember your guys' story about how like you guys have grown as family to us now. But I'll never forget how you were essentially strangers in a cafe who were like, yeah, we're thinking about fostering some kids the next week and you're babysitting them. And now here we are. Like it's just a
Yeah.
beautiful story of how it plays out over time and to watch you guys as a family grow on your own. Again, we're just a partnership. We haven't done anything for you other than say, we love you and we're here. Because
Yeah.
there was times where we'd watch the kids and I was like, I don't know how they do it. Tommy ate us out of the Oreos one time. And chicken nuggets, I think, was the other thing.
I think
Well,
Bailey
more-
probably ate you out of your burritos.
Oh,
as she calls
burritos.
them.
Well, more
she calls
just so
Doritos
having
burritos.
3 kids all so close in age. That is hard
Oh.
in itself.
Yeah.
You know,
You
but
didn't even have like the age, like the normal age gaps. They're all like
Yeah.
the same age.
yeah.
It's like
That's
a
another
massive
interesting
preschool.
aspect to it that you guys, you know, it's so unique what you guys have for those little reasons like that. But I love seeing, kind of like you were saying, you come here and everyone knows who you are, but like just seeing the kids, I feel like they know that they're loved.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Within this
Absolutely.
community. And so that's what is like beautiful to see. Because I'm sure, and I don't know, I could be speaking out of terms, but I'm sure at times for adopted children, maybe feeling out of place would be, you know, something they
Absolutely.
experience.
Yeah.
So I think just having like this community
To
to
be
rally
rooted,
around
yeah.
you guys and let them know, how loved they are is so important, you know?
Like to get
And
rooted
just-
in something. Like
Yeah.
again, just I even remember when we were in the Life Kids volunteering and we had the kids in there with us. You know, you watch them from the first times they were ever in church. It's just like anything you would ever expect. It's like they've never been around this type of structure, this type of community, or this type of, you know, these lessons. They've maybe never even heard some of these things.
Yeah.
And so we have to have grace from the outside looking in of like, these kids might be the first time they're ever hearing about it. And like it's same with someone who enters church on Sunday. You don't know if it's the first time they ever have attended, you know? You don't know where people are at. So there's a sense of like, let me have grace for these people. And as you walk with them to watch them grow, like Bailey, I used to always like, she would always hang on my arms and I would like walk around. But what I realized getting to know Bailey was that she just wanted a hug.
Yeah.
And you get to know a person, you get to know the needs, and then you form this relationship that's like, it's really awesome to watch. And you guys have had a lot of opportunity, obviously, to do that. What was the relationship like then to now? Like, what have you noticed as far as maybe those discoveries you've made with like, oh, this is this kid's love language, or, oh, this is how we communicate to this kid. Maybe some of the goods, or maybe even honestly, some of the bads, or things that you're experiencing right now.
I don't know if this is trauma related, but they're very food motivated, as I'm sure you've
Okay.
picked up on.
I love it. But yeah.
So food is their love language. Like, I mean,
It really is. If you don't know, like these kids, I mean, there's nothing like they are completely healthy. You look at them, you wouldn't think, but they will come into your house and
I love it.
They'll put you out of
There's
commission.
nothing like
They
a
love
good
just
meal,
about
though.
anything.
and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what it
Eating
is.
it.
Like they
I
will-
relate.
I took cherry tomatoes to your
tomatoes.
house
Cherry
one
tomatoes,
time,
yeah.
First
and they
time, I was
smashed
like,
them.
Bree, I was like, are these like for something to like go with
Nope,
something?
they just want
She's like,
tomatoes.
nope, they just pop them. They
Yep.
love them. And I was
Like
like,
candy.
all right, great.
I love it.
So
And
it's
they
not
sure
just
did.
junk food for anybody who's
Oh,
listening.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Anything.
We give them the junk food. Bree and Riley are way better about that. Yeah.
And we even gave Bailey, Tommy, the pickles.
Yeah.
Tommy
Well,
Pickles, right?
For
We did.
Christmas.
For Christmas,
We wrapped
yes.
it up
Oh my
because,
goodness, yes.
You know, as they love it so much, gave it to him. He opened up, best thing ever.
Did you? And Tommy got pickles.
So pure.
Bailey
Yeah.
got the Doritos.
Burritos,
Yeah.
which she calls
Randy used to call them
burritos.
burritos, so I called them burritos. So she thinks they're called burritos.
Oh, okay. I didn't have that
And then
context.
what did Jackson get?
Jackson got some fruit snacks.
I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But like
And they
again,
were
like you get to
ecstatic.
find them. That's literally like, but their heart is like, no, I love these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what's unique about finding a family identity is like, really, it's like, it's this big relationship. And the more you get to know someone, the more you speak their language, the easier it somewhat becomes to kind of help accommodate that discipleship process. Like, I mean, I'm sure day one, you're like, we should probably figure out how to get these kids dressed and ready for church. The first time you did a morning routine, the first time you did an evening routine, like that's probably stressful.
I mean,
you have good intentions.
Every Sunday we're late, so I don't think we still got it yet.
But that's what's cool though, is like, but you're still showing your kids that you're going to prioritize going to church.
Mm-hmm.
You're still figuring out a routine. I mean, goodness, we all are too. And you're saying like, even though we might be a little late, it doesn't mean we're not going. We're going to church now. And now those kids, and like you said, Bree, I can't imagine. Like we see it for our kids too, because there are so many people here that we have found like really, really care about you and your family. But like when people get down and they like just ready to wrap your kid up in a hug, and you trust that person, and that kid trusts that person, there's just this sense of like, man, this is what God designed. And this is what he honors. And this is why I think it's so important for us to not forget, like, you don't know where those people are in your life. Like, we would have never thought you guys would, stumble in from northern Indiana down over here and then get involved and the way it happened, but it's all God designed. And so it's up to us almost to just be obedient and to listen and just like, I don't know who's next or who God's going to put in my life, but with every opportunity, I'm going to make everyone's kids feel loved. I'm going to make everyone else feel loved. And how can we, I want to show people who Christ is, because this is what someone did for me,
Yep.
Especially the kids that have been searching for that for so long. Like, and I can't wait to watch them grow up, because I have like my thoughts of who I think everybody's kids. I'm always like, this person's going to be this, like our kids, but for your kids too, like just to watch them grow up. And you're going to have 3 teenagers in your house one day, not to
Well, watch out, because Tommy says he's marrying Ren.
Oh boy. We didn't know this.
And
Ren Taylor, if you are watching this, that's a problem, number one. But
we'll talk
spend all that time in school
20
together.
plus years from now.
And Bailey's marrying Connor Little, which I
knew that one was kind of a thing. And I know, well, Charity said
that would be
Charity told us this, that
a doozy.
Noah has a crush, and when they were in VBS, Noah shut down. Nelson and Charity's son Noah, he was like, whenever she was around, he was like, oh my gosh, it's her.
Really?
Yeah, and like, so it's funny that they find these, but hey, these are the in-laws I'm talking about. These are people I hang out with. That's fine with me.
Good point.
And
but that's a whole nother
Tommy Pickles, Tommy
can of worms. Yeah.
But no, like, I mean, but it's cool too. But like, think about that. We're here talking about a family who's searching for identity. They're blended now. Have you guys thought about this? And maybe you haven't, and that's fine. Like, have you thought about their futures now? Like, have you prayed for like their spouses? Because like you're trying to like, it feels like you're trying to get all these pieces and put it together. But there's a reality too, is like, but these kids need discipled at home. And like, have you guys thought about some of those things? Or
yeah. It's very new though for us, because up until Bailey and Thomas were adopted October 12th and Jackson November 17th of 2022. So up until those points, like we were really just like, let's get through tomorrow. Let's get through this next week, waiting for this court date or that court date and what's going to happen, and not knowing if their future was with us and what that would look like. So that's still very new to us, as it's, only.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing that like I think is a great reminder to us. Like Erica and I have even talked about how like you just get in the hustle and bustle of life. And like I can't imagine you guys are like, we don't even know if these kids are going to be our adopted children or not. Like they could be gone, in the snap of a finger, it seems like, I'm sure. But yet like we get so busy that sometimes we even forget, like we forget to pray for our kids' futures. And like, it's really important for us though, is like as parents, like we have to intercede, and not saying like you're doing anything wrong. Cause again, I can't imagine.
Yeah. On top of just being a parent.
Yes.
The added stressors of, like you were saying, like, let's just see what's going to happen tomorrow. Like what's going to happen at the next court date, all of those things, thrown into the mix. It sounds so simple, but it is hard almost to remember, like, I need to be praying for not just this child today, but for their future,
their spouse,
and their what's to come for them.
And I will say that whole process, I think, helped us grow in our faith more than anything ever has in our entire lives.
Share about that a little bit.
So one thing that we held on to through the whole process, because it's like, they could be taken. Like we may not get TPR. We may not, they may go back to this bad situation. There were so many unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I kept hanging on to was, well, both of us really, these kids are not ours.
Mm.
Your kids are not yours.
Right.
They're all, it's all a gift from God.
God's.
God entrusted us with
Right.
them. So hanging on to that, whether or not they were ours biologically or adopted or whatever the situation may be, when God chooses to take that, if he chooses to take that, that's up to his and his plan that is far superior than anything that we could ever desire.
Right.
So that was something that we just clung to.
Yeah.
Something very small, but like
Yeah,
it
just
got us through.
having that faith, like it's God's plan, no matter.
Right.
If they
what
stay,
happens.
God's plan. If they
Trusting
go,
him.
God's plan.
Like,
Yeah.
We're here for a reason.
Yeah, we're here whether to be a seed for them or to be something that is permanent. It was just every day. It was like
That's bold.
wondering.
That's very bold to think about because like that's standing in your faith and saying like things can change, but God put them in your life like for whatever reason. Maybe you were the ones that were meant to have brought them to church and like for the first time, but then they would reflect back and be like, I remember when those people took me to church. But he had so much more for you that you didn't see at the time.
Yeah.
But you were still faithful to it. And you said, we're still going to do what matters the most to us and for them. And so sacrificially, you were like, this is what we've got to do for a family. We've got to do this for them. And now like you are a family.
Yeah.
And we did Tommy and Bailey's dedication, and we still have to dedicate crew, and we're probably going to do that when you guys do Jackson. Like it's a reality though. The whole idea of dedicating your kid to the Lord is it's not a baptism. It's not them to have. It's not this is their salvation or anything like that. It's to say that I am giving God back what's His,
Yeah.
and I am trusting through my faith in God that my kid will come to know Him one
Yeah.
day, and that he would make a profession. Or she would make a profession of her own faith.
Right.
So the dedication's a piece it's kind of a sobering thing. Like God, they were never mine to begin with. They were always yours. I'm the
Yeah.
one you've trusted to lead them and to disciple them. And it's humbling because it's like,
It puts it in perspective.
it does.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
very sobering to be like, all the
You don't-
circumstances in your life could have unfolded. I always tell Erica for our own journey, like our kids, had I taken different orders in the military, wouldn't have reconnected with Erica and we would have never got back together. What would that have looked like? If I had done anything
Yeah.
different, like our lives would be different. But yet God has us here right now. He's given us these children and these people and even us, our marriage. We're stewards. All of us are stewards. I think that's something we all need to remember is like God's put someone in your life for a reason. And you don't know what that's for,
Yeah.
but you're called to be faithful. And you're called to be obedient, and through
Which
the
is
way
such
that
a
you,
hard
set the example.
portion. Yeah. Which what I love about your guys' story that you just said is how your faith has grown in this. Like how, surrendering and just being like, okay, like we give it back to you, God. Like whatever is going to happen is your will. And like, we're okay with that. And that's something that I think is so hard to do because we want to control situations as much as we can. You know what I mean? It's natural for us to want to hold on to what we can. And so I just love that, hearing that you guys feel like your faith grew so much just by trusting. So,
And it's like, James, the testing of your faith.
yeah.
Like we talk about that all the time, but your faith is being tested the whole time you were foster parents.
Yeah, right.
And it
whether you think
is
that
still,
way or not.
and it will continue to be. But like it talks about this idea of like kind of bear up under these circumstances and trust in God, because at the end of the day, He's in control of everything.
Mike's, I don't remember what all was going on during the sermon, but the one thing that stuck out to me was you can't half cheek it on the throne with God. Like He's in charge.
Yeah.
And I just, that whole week, I'm like, yeah.
Because the Revelation series, I think, was what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've got to get my cheek off this throne because I'm trying so hard, to push and force. And it's just like, once you let go and let God,
Yeah.
so many beautiful things happen.
Yep.
Yeah. And I have to share the story because it's been in the back of my mind since it happened. But like, again, I found like the happiness of this like Hallmark time in your home So, just as from an outsider's perspective, you had called me about your rooster. Yeah, we're going to share it.
Oh,
no.
here we go.
So, Bree and Riley have a farm. They have cows, they have chickens, and there's a rooster that was particularly large. I don't think I've ever seen a rooster this big. I told Mike how big it was. He was like, no way. And Bree was actually there that day. I was like, how big was that rooster? And he was like, there's no way. And she said, and I was like, it's a big sucker. And so Bree had reached out to me and was like, and Riley too, was like, hey, if this rooster keeps getting out of hand, it keeps attacking the kids, like, can you come take care of it? And I'm like, yep, let me know. And one day Bree said, I've tried, I've had enough, he's got to go. I was sitting there, I was like, Erica, I've got a task today. I'll never forget. It starts snowing out, and I'm like, this is the perfect time. We get out to the house, there's a pitchfork out front. I'm like, that's probably what,
Fight them off with, yeah.
So I get inside, and, I don't even remember what the kids said when I first came over to the house, but I was like, all right, let's go get this done. And the kids stay in the house. And Bree walks me down to their barns, and I've got my 20 gauge, and it's birdshot. It's not even a slug. So it's just, it was just going to make a big fluffy mess. So we get out of the barn, and there's this big old sucker, and he's just like puffed up walking at us. And Bree just like hitting him away because behind him is cows. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to shoot that way. And I was like, just make sure you get out of the way. I'll find a spot. I'll take a good shot. So I'm over there to help them out because, Sullivans need help getting rid of this bird. I walk over there and I unload on this thing and feathers go everywhere. And I kind of look at Bree. I was like, all right, yeah, it was, not as messy as I thought it was going to be. And then its head rears up and it's like, rah! And I was like, hang on, step back. I got to shoot it again. So I load up again. And this thing just like going crazy. And I go, boom. And it like takes its last breath and croaks. I turned around. And Riley mentioned before how the kids look out the window, and I look back at their house, and all of them were sitting in the window with their mouths open, just like
watching it all.
And I was
unfold.
like, "Oh shoot!" They watched the whole thing take place.
So that was a Hallmark moment to you?
Let me say why. Because I watched this family like the way their family was before, like they were all together in their home, and they were they talked about this chicken and how Bree was like protecting. There was these 3 kids that we knew, they were foster children, and here they are in a home, and they're talking about their home, their chicken, their rooster, like their cows, their things. Yeah. And they were in their home. I got to walk into that. Obviously, I came to shoot the rooster.
You were their hero, though.
Saying, though.
I will say that they do thank me, even though it was, we kind of had to explain to them because I think Tommy wanted to go like pick it up or something. I was like, well, maybe, I was like, Mom, you want to have that conversation? Because I don't want to, mine would just be like, nah, he's dead. Like, but like I got to walk into your home while it was chaotic for you and watch your family be like, but this is us. And we have a chicken and and you're protecting your kids. And then it was just like, I walked into that and I loved it. And then the Hallmark moment for me is kind of also looking back and watching these kids look out the window. It's snowing outside and boom. I can't imagine what that's going to do to them. And I'm sorry for that.
I asked them, I said, did you guys see Mommy get attacked by that rooster? Because they are always looking out that window. And Bailey goes, no, I didn't see you get attacked, but I saw it get pewed by Taylor.
And it was a big cloud of feathers. Don't get me wrong.
Nobody was sad. Like that chicken,
he had to go.
He had to go.
I could already tell by the way he came up at me.
I think I was the only one sad about it. I was like, can it just, do you think like go somewhere else? Can they like
Then I came home and she goes,
it?
chicken killer. I'm like, listen, I was doing a family of service here, right?
I get it.
There was no way you would have been able to catch it, to take it. It was
bad.
Well, Riley, we had like a 9 that you were going to use. And I was like, you'd waste a lot of ammo on that thing, knowing that 20 gauge took 2 good shots. Jeez.
I was ready to go take care of it myself. And he's like, call Taylor. Do not do it yourself.
I don't know. That thing probably would have never died.
I don't think it would have.
But no, but again, it was so cool to watch your journey and the journey you're still on to watch it happen. And this is true for, I'm sure, anybody who's in that place of life where like, you maybe just need to be reminded sometimes, like if you're being intentional the whole time, like with what you're doing, your home becomes a home and you might not even recognize it. Don't be afraid to step back sometimes and be like, you know what? Like, it's been so busy. I'm trying to get the kids to do these things and I'm busy with all of these things. But like right now, my kids are here saying these phrases like, I love it here, or I'm home, or these are our chickens, things that they never had. So just to walk into that and be a part of it was awesome to see and to be a part of, obviously, circumstances given. But no,
Yeah,
it's been
that's
really cool
true.
to watch you guys continue to like find your family identity. And the other thing I wanted to share with that was, so you mentioned how, Riley, like how the kids were maybe not even going to church, but you guys brought them here. Well, then for Jackson's adoption, when we were here at the Cafe of Hope, we were having that lunch, Bailey came up to me and was just told me the entire story of Jonah. So mind you, a kid, she's 6 years old. In a matter of 2 years, how many times has she heard, Jonah and the whale? Maybe a couple. I don't know how often our curriculum teaches it, but like, yeah, sure, it's a easier one for kids to learn. But she did like not just a little bit of Jonah and the whale. She did the entire thing. She was like, so there once was a man named Jonah, and he was supposed to go to Nineveh, and like I'm like, whoa, like where is this coming from? What was cool though? So she's telling this whole story, and you guys were telling me it wasn't even like we think we have to sit down and we have to control. This is what we read as a family. Not that it's wrong, but you said you bought a toy.
They were
that
gifted
read-
a toy
that
for
they
their
gifted,
adoption. Yeah.
and it told them Bible stories, and they're fascinated with this thing.
They love this thing.
We'll link it, I think, in the description
Yeah,
for this
that's a good
because
idea.
we talked about buying it. It's in our Amazon cart. But like how, again, the simplicity of like, don't overthink it. Sometimes there's other resources that can help you as parents teach your kids, because there's a lot of things influencing them. But I just thought it was cool that Bailey learned an entire story of the Bible from this thing.
Yeah.
I know for her, going into this community here in Life Kids, she's grown so much too.
Yeah.
During dinner, we do our prayer, and it's just me that does it. We let the kids participate.
Oh yeah.
We
Those are
ask,
my
like,
favorite.
who wants to do it.
Yeah.
And going from like they had no idea what to say in the beginning to now, like Bailey is really into it.
And her vocabulary with it is really
Yeah,
impressive.
Really
Yeah.
impressive. Like
Aw.
the first time she said this was she talked about like the mighty God, like using the word mighty.
Yeah, for her, it's huge.
And it's like, I know like that was picked up here.
Oh,
yeah. And that's
Prob-
well, that's like
so
the
good.
partnership
That's the,
thing.
Yeah.
So the curriculum we use is it's the whole basis of why it's called Orange is because there's the red and the yellow. It's the church and the home, and they together they make one. It's so like, and Mike's preached this before too. If you go back and look at the original design series, like he just talked about this. Like there is a partnership from the church and the home. The home can do one thing. You should come here and learn and be equipped, but we're here to help partner with you, not to take control over, but you guys doing prayers at your home, taking ownership of your faith, showing them the ropes and bringing them here is how we work together to equip one another. And like we learn as a church too, like from like how to teach someone like Bailey or Thomas, like we're always learning something together, and it takes us working together to really make strong disciples. And again, to watch them grow from their faith, this childlike faith in 2 years, not even, is crazy to know that these kids are capable of learning so much right
Yep.
now. And
Yep.
so there's a pressure, like it puts a lot of pressure on us. Like, man, I've got to really do a lot at home. It's like, well, you do, but you really just got to be like really intentional.
I think a lot of it too is just like there's not an aspect of our lives, and I'm not preaching like, saying
Right.
we're on a high horse or anything, but there's not an aspect of our life that isn't like touched by God. So like the music we listen to, the people we hang out with, the activities we do, like you've got to be intentional about incorporating God into all of that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
everything, not just the
Yep.
things but the way that you live. And we do make mistakes, but we learn from them. And I think it's just really important as parents for us to always be considering, how can I get my kids to know Jesus? Whether that's through other people, whether that's through my own home, whether that's through the things I allow them to watch and listen to. Like, how are we allowing them to see and seek Jesus? And I think you guys are a great testament of how, in a short period of time, this blended family becoming the Sullivans has really found that identity and continuing to find that identity. It's been really, really cool to watch.
Yeah.
And so before we end today's episode, first thing we got to do is we got to show you guys the answers to your questions. And so we're going to take a quick moment and we're going to snip in the videos that you guys took of the kids so you guys can hear what their answers were to our questions.
Mr. Jackson,
What?
why are you thankful that Jesus died on the cross and rose from the dead for us?
Because we get to go to heaven.
Bailey James,
What?
how do we celebrate Easter?
We get candy and go to church.
Tommy V,
I'm not Tommy B. I'm Tommy Baylor Tenement.
okay, Thomas Baylor Sullivan.
What?
What does the Easter Bunny have to do with Easter?
Celebrate God's birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So, again, guys, thanks for being here. Before we go, though, Bree, I wanted to make this kind of plug because you guys are a part of an organization here at Life Church called Hands of Hope. So can you tell us a little bit about Hands of Hope, how that affected your journey, what it does, and so people can maybe understand a little bit about how to get involved?
Sure. So Hands of Hope is a foster and adoptive parent support group. We have different trainers that come in and we lead discussions, and we just really want to provide that fellowship for anybody who is fostering, who's thinking about fostering, or who has adopted. That's a really big reason we came here, and a good way we got plugged into a lot of different things. We meet on the third Monday of every month. The meal starts at 5:30, and then the training starts at 6. So we provide the meal. We have childcare, and if you are a current foster parent, you get training credits as well.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So again, we'll put more information in our descriptions about that, but we wanted to make it known. This is how the Sullivans kind of, this was a part of their journey. And for anyone out there who's maybe thinking or considering about not just fostering or adopting, but maybe ways to partner with and to help out, because there's the kids coming with the families as those nights happen. And I think it's a great ministry that happens here at Life Church too. So guys, we want to thank you again so much
Yes.
for being
Thank
here
you
with
so much
us.
for having us.
We love you guys. We're
love
blessed to know you, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you guys for joining us on today's episode with Bree and Riley Sullivan. We really hope you enjoyed hearing from them. For more information and resources, please visit our Life Church Huntington app. You'll go to resources, finding the family, and all additional information will be there. We look forward to seeing you guys next time.